Facebook Live community. Hello, R. Christian Minson here. Coming to you live today from Rythmia Life Advancement Center, talking about 2020 vision. Before we get started, though, as always, we say hello for a few minutes to people coming on, give people a chance to come on. If you're tuning into the recording, skip to about 4 minutes in, and that should get you started to where we have content going on. Unless you like to listen to the hellos and see where everybody's at. So if you are here and getting online, say hello, tell me where you're from. Meanwhile, I just found this cool poll thing, and I want to say, have you been to Rythmia? So, yes, not yet, but coming. All right, so while we're having, I just found this new poll thing. See if you answer the poll for me as a little exercise here to see if this thing is not yet, but coming. So far, 100%. Looks like only one person is voted. Allow voting in polls to continue after your live video ends. Nah, we don't need that right now. So we're here today. So this is kind of cool. So far, this gives me a thing. Yes, 33%. Not yet, but coming 70%. Wonderful. So anyway, it gives me another thing to play with while I'm waiting for you guys to come on. Hello, hello, all of you. Let me just grab my glasses here. Sorry for the intrusion. Stepping away, I don't like to do that. But hello, Jen Finn from Southwest Florida. This is a great poll, in my opinion, because if you haven't answered the poll question, I don't know where you see it in your field of vision, but please answer it. Have you been to Rythmia or not yet? So far, I've got about 25% have been, 75% have not. This is great information. I've always felt like more people on this Facebook Live have already been to Rythmia. So I see all these names all the time that I'm familiar with. But Jessica, yes, hello, definitely will be there, just not yet. Rain coming back with my husband, beautiful. Mary Beth, hi from Whidbey Island. Nikki, hello. Adrian, North Carolina, hello. Britick, hello. Thanks for answering my my question, my New Year's question on my page. If you haven't gone to my Facebook page, R. Christian Minson, I got a New Year's question. What was one thing, brag about yourself, one thing you've done this year? Go put that on my page this past year that you're proud of. Aaron's coming from Japan. Stella, hello, Stella. Recent friend of mine. Tammy, hello. Tommy, hello. Norway, indeed. Norway says hello, and it's dear to my heart, having lived there for 3 years, almost 40 years ago. Desiree from Belgium, not been to Rythmia, done 2 ayahuascas. Yeah, good, beautiful. Still not yet. So if you guys are saying that you have or haven't been, see if you can enter that into the poll wherever the poll shows up on your page. Still coming in strong at 26% yes, 74% no. This is great because Tammy Scarlett, good morning. Leaf, not yet. Constantino hello from Germany. It's good information because these Rythmia Facebook Lives are really here to help you get comfortable with Rythmia. The people who are here, the kind of vibe, the kind of what we call the kind of information, the kind of wisdom that's coming out of this place, and so we want you to feel comfortable, and so there's all sorts of videos. Myself, I go on Friday. Jerry comes on, what is it, Tuesday, I think it is. John Jacob on Thursday normally. Lots and lots of folks. So we got about 30% yes, 70% not coming, and here we are about 5 minutes in. I should get started. Man, we're at 70 people. It's a great way to start the year. I think everybody is, Aaron, when are you doing breathwork in Japan? Private message me and see if we can figure that out. I'd love to come. Estelle Banks from Texas, Mel, Della, Leif. All right, so and Della coming back in a few months. Excellent, excellent. All right, everybody. 30% here already, 70% yet to come. Polls are still open. Here's a new poll. I'm going to start another poll. Have you done a 2020 vision? And that could be a vision board. Yes. And of course, not yet, but going to publish now. All right, so let me get started here. Welcome to the Rythmia Facebook Live Friday Breathwork Edition. I'm your host, R. Christian Minson, Director of the Breathwork Program here at Rythmia, Director of the NovaCell Stem Cell Program that we have. I'm a certified transformational breath facilitator, senior trainer with the Transformational Breath Foundation, speaker, author, internet coach, and your catalyst for awakening and evolution. So welcome. Today, we're talking on the subject of 2020 vision, looking at charting your destiny for the new year and perhaps for the new decade. You realize that we've stepped officially into the new decade. I first remember that, we were talking about Norway earlier. It's maybe dating myself, but the decade, as we moved from the 70s into the 80s, that was the first time, that was my second decade movement, the first time I was conscious about moving into a new decade, and there's all sorts of, I used to read the comics a lot. There's a lot of comics, funnies around this whole decade change. So here we are into a new decade, the 20s. Remember what happened 100 years ago in the 20s, the roaring 20s? It was a really strong time of creativity, of liberty. People were getting very liberal. At the same time, there was a lot of other forces, prohibition, and a lot of forces trying to curtail our liberties. And of course, then our liberties got the better of us, and then the 30s became the Great Depression. So this is definitely a warning flag. But let's create now that same enthusiastic liberty for this decade of positive transformation and evolution, so that the 30s become even a more abundant time rather than last decade having to regress. So far, so we're talking about doing our 2020 visioning. So far, about 20% say yes, they've done it. 80% say no, and that's okay. This is why we have this topic. Let me just look at people's thanks. Just saying hello to everyone. And Petra Schwab joined. Hey, all right, my friend from Switzerland. So, why are we doing this? The number one tenet here, clarity is power. Clarity is power. What do I mean by that? In a way, the subject today is a play on words, right? 2020 vision. You've heard that probably when you've gone to your eye doctor. To have 2020 vision means to have perfect vision, right? To have perfect clarity of vision. And so I thought, this is great. We're moving into the year 2020. And in order to have that perfect clarity, we want to do some visioning work. We want to have at least a foundation of what we want this year to be all about, and then we can move forward from there. clarity is power. And our clarity then becomes our intention. What we're clear about wanting, what we want, is our intention for the year. Our intention is like a magnetic spearhead. If you imagine a spear, long spear with the head here as a magnet, this is all our life force energy here. And this magnetic tip is going in the direction of our intention. Our intention is the magnetic tip. So it's sending our life force energy magnetically in the direction of our choosing. Now, if you don't have any intention, right, you don't have any magnetic tip, it's like it disappears and your energy could go all over the place. Who knows where it's going to go? Some people like that. They say it's, riding life free form, just going with the flow. But what if you could go with the flow and also have a general direction? That doesn't always mean your energy is going to go straight to where you want it to go. It still might flow and move, but by having that magnetic spearhead, we have more energy, or we have more thrust moving in a direction of our choosing. And this is really what we're talking about here. Betty Van Hedhoff saying hindsight is also 2020. And so what we can do is use our hindsight to help us chart a better course in the year 2020. So if you haven't answered the poll yet, have you done your 2020 vision? Please do that. So far, we're at still about 22% yes, 78% no. So with this, again, with this energetic spearhead, we're more likely to accomplish what we want if we know what we want, right? Another example, like you get in a car to start driving. If you have no destination, let's say you start in Los Angeles. I'm from Southern California originally, San Diego area really, but say you're starting your car in Los Angeles. If you have no direction, where are you going to go? Let's say in a week's time, you may end up in Portland, Oregon. You may end up in Baja, Mexico. You may end up in Texas or Colorado or Florida. But let's say that you actually know before you get in your car, you say, I'm going to go somewhere. Where do I want to go? What's my intention? My intention is to go to New York. All right, now you know you're not going to take the Highway 5 up north. You're not going to take Highway 5 south. You can get on the 10, start moving eastward, and all the way now you're making choices that are going to direct you to get to New York efficiently. If you didn't have that idea in mind, again, who knows if you'll ever even get to New York? But now you know, and then you've got some direction. Another, in my own life, I was trying to think of some examples. I play songs, and here we see my guitar in the background. And this is always, if we got enough time at the end, I'll do a little song and dance for you, minus the dance. So I was playing songs in ceremony for a while, and maybe still will, but anyway, I wanted to enhance my repertoire. So I made an intention, I made a vision that I wanted to add more songs. And it wasn't just any old songs, because I have dozens of songs that I know how to play, but songs that are specifically suited to ceremony, right? Songs with uplifting lyrics, songs that will make people think and feel on a higher level, on an evolutionary level. And so with this intention, then I started just listening, to songs that came. And when I heard one that was, in alignment with what I wanted, I put it into a little playlist. And as I developed this playlist, I got 3 or 4 songs that were new to me. That then I really listened to them close, and I think maybe edited out 1 or so that weren't quite right. And so I'm left with a handful of songs that I could add to my repertoire that I could start to learn. So I started learning those specific songs. I got them done, and now I have even more uplifting songs that I can play, and I can pick and choose. I don't have to play the same songs every week over and over. But now as the energy inspires me, I could go slightly this way or slightly that way. Right? So that's a minor example of what if I didn't have that vision in the first place that I want to learn more songs specifically for ceremony. I may not have learned any at all, or I might have heard a song here and there and decided to learn it, only to find that it's a great song to play at a campfire, but not really to play at ceremony, and so on. So hopefully that gives you a little sense of why visioning is important. So what is a vision here? What are we doing? And I think, as always, there's a confluence of things that happen. Ooh, now we're up to 30% who have done their vision. 70% haven't yet. We have thought leaders, people of great wisdom coming through here all the time. And we had somebody here recently named Jennifer Hoodie. That's Huyde. Jennifer Hoodie. She comes from, I think, Arizona area, and also moves between San Diego area where I'm from. She's a business coach, and she's really into visioning. So a few weeks ago, she gave us classes on visioning, and her class was really a condensed version of her larger visioning program that she does. And of course, today, I'm going to take elements from what she said, and it's going to be a much more condensed version of that, just to give you a sense of something to get started with. And then, of course, you can look her up if you really want to go deeper into this. Jennifer Hoodie, salute to you. All right. Who has Shimmer Size, amazing music for ceremonies? I'll have to look that up there. Thank you, Mayfer. All right, so here we go. So she said, one thing, everything is created 2 times. Everything in life is created 2 times. Once it's created in your mind, the second time it's created physically. So this visioning process is really about getting that first creation going, really getting it solid so you can create, so you can actually create in physical reality. And Kelly is saying, miss your energy. Great at singing. Thank you, Kelly. Come on back. I'll sing for you. So visioning, getting it created in the mind. Then it's important to start making your vision real. How we want to formulate a vision is to really bring it into reality in your mind through your senses. You want to feel it, taste it, touch it, smell it, really hear it, see it. The more real you can make it to your senses, then the easier it is to actually manifest into real life. So she talked about 7 invisible blocks that keep us from our visioning, and I was looking at this, and they definitely resonate with me. I've probably gone through most of these blocks. She spent a lot of time on it, but I'll go through them quickly. One block is confusion. You just don't know what you want. And so that, it's hard to put something on paper if you don't know what you want. For that, I'd say just start somewhere. Just put something down. And then as you get into it, maybe it's not what you want, but it leads you to say, well, if I don't want that, it's because I more want this. And then you can change it. That's the first block. The second block is judgment. Concern with what others will think of you. And if any of these are resonating, you can give me some thumbs up or some hearts and all that. Let's see. Going to manifesting class tonight. Yeah, beautiful, Nicole. That sounds great. and perfectly in alignment with what we're doing here. So concerned with what others will think. Are they gonna approve of my desires? Are they gonna approve of this? Are they gonna judge me for it? So that's another block. Then the third block is guilt, or a sense of worthiness. Not allowing yourself to actually want more. Some sense like, oh, I got enough. So many people don't have any. Why should I want more? It's really, it's really selfish of me to want more. So this, I think is a bogus attitude, but it's one that definitely gets us caught up as a block to visioning and creating more in our lives. Number 4 is fear. Fear, not giving yourself permission to have what you want. It's like saying it's scary to change, to have something new, and so it's better just to stay the way you are. This is definitely comes from the ego. The ego operates by keeping you safe. It keeps you safe by keeping you in the known. Anything unknown is unsafe. Anything known is safe. So as we venture into the unknown, which means having to stretch ourselves out, reach for something new, the ego immediately says, hey, scary territory, stay where it's safe. So that can get in the way. Self-worth came up when I was there in December. Yeah, David, that comes up a lot. I'd say it's probably one of the biggest challenges. I work with it. Anybody I know is working with that on some level. All right, number 5, limit or scarcity mentality. Feeling like you have to cap yourself, like you can only have so much. Out of the infinite amount you can have, you're really only allowed to have so much. Number 6 is overwhelm. I've definitely experienced this. Too much to choose from. There's so many things there. It's like, what do I choose? And then you kind of freeze like a deer in the headlights, not being able to choose anything. And this again, like I said earlier with which one, confusion, not knowing what you want. They're kind of similar. Just start somewhere. Just say, okay, well, there's so much, I want this. And as you start to move in that direction, you will easily see. This is another reason why visioning is good, because you can't go wrong with it. Even if you choose the wrong, quote unquote, wrong vision, what does that do? It just gives you information for what you don't want, so then you can start to move in a new direction of what you do want. Right? But the operative word there is move. Right? So you choose something, you put your vision out there, you start to move in that direction, and then you're like, why did I choose this? I don't want this. But you've been moving, you've been creating momentum, and then so it's easier to shift off course rather than you're still on your couch saying, well, I'm not sure I want that, I'm not sure I want that, I'm sure I want that, so I'm just going to stay put until something happens. Well, guess what? You're going to stay put for a whole long time. Something doesn't just happen. You got to get it started. So even if you're starting in the wrong direction, again, quote unquote wrong, there is no wrong. Start in a direction that you ultimately don't want. That's going to help you move in the right direction ultimately. So if you feel unworthy, that will block your intentions. It can. That's what we're saying here. If your worthiness often doesn't allow you to want more. So I mean, if you're able to make intentions and still have a sense of unworthiness, then you've kind of overcome that, at least as far as the intention creating part is concerned. Then if you're moving in your intention, you still got to be aware of that unworthiness, Betty, getting in the way of say, sabotaging you. You're right at the door, you're finally about to get it, and you say, but I'm not worthy enough. So you veer off course, you do something that makes what was almost attainable evaporate. So yeah, be careful of the senses of unworthiness. Fear and anxiety can stop me, is what Ruth is saying. So fear was number 4 in here. What did we just say? Anxiety is where is that? It's still part of that. David, depression era parents leave us with the mentality of scarcity. Yeah, that is so true. And fortunately, hopefully, some of the millennials are now, getting removed a few generations. But I know my grandparents came from the depression era, and then that passed on to my parents, who were very thrifty. Get that grip, thrifty in a very tight wad sort of way, which got passed on to me, and I've had to work very hard to sort of loosen that grip and recognize that I'm allowed to have more than just a little bit, and to get by on just the very bare minimum. I've been learning pretty well. Let's see, because there's a huge issue for me, so until I resolve that, my intention will manifest. Is that correct? No, not necessarily, Betty. You just have to be aware of it, and that's again, we're talking about worthiness and self-worth. You just have to realize that is a major thing that keeps coming in to mess with your attainment of your intentions. So just be aware, as you set your intentions, first of all, that you set strong ones that you might not feel worthy of, but what you truly want and desire. We'll get into that in a second, how we do that. And then as you're walking that path or running down that path, be aware that worthiness is going to come in. That sense of unworthiness is going to try to, again, derail you. Continually say, well, you're not, that's not really for you. Now, the best thing you can do to counter that unworthiness is actually attain your intention, right? You get to the finish line, you got it, and you're like, whoa, I got it. And the world didn't end. The sky didn't fall. I didn't spontaneously combust. God didn't come down and say, you're not supposed to have that. Wow, maybe I actually do deserve this. Maybe, the universe is more abundantly available to me than I thought before. So it behooves you to get on that path and stay on that path. But remember that, to be vigilant, that these things, basically these invisible blocks, imagine you're going down a road. A road can have a block. Then you got to get out, you got to move the block so you can keep on going down that road. This is what we're talking about here. So self-worth, fears, judgments, confusion, all these things are blocks that you got to navigate around. Right now we've been talking about them being blocks to getting started on your vision, but they're also blocks once you've got your vision in motion, you can always derail yourself with these blocks. So important to recognize that life has roadblocks. Go down your major highway, there's going to be construction somewhere. You're going to have to take a detour and all that, but that's just it. Don't take a detour and go somewhere else. You take a detour to get back on track with what you ultimately want. You circumvent that block and you get back on your course, all right? So Betty, Robert Salaga is saying he agrees with you there, so this goes for you and anybody who's got that. We're just talking about so many choices. Hello, you people. Got a lot of comments here. This is great. All right, taking down old paradigms, work hard. Yep. Old, out with the old, in with the new. And isn't this great? We're not only entering, as I said, a new year, but actually a new decade. This is the beginning of a whole 10-year period, which is going to shape the course of our lives. So make it good. It's great to start off good. Deborah, when I'm on top of it, there will always be people who come around with that thinking also. It's what I've learned is that an exact opportunity to show them that this is an old paradigm and they too can manifest. It's pretty cool now when they show up. Yeah, well, that's a great way to reframe it. It's a gift to hear people come in and try to get you off track, because then it gives you a sense of being stronger in your vision than they are strong about trying to derail you. Right, Robert's on a good track, and that's what we're talking about here. So the last one, number 7, is responsibility. And I think this one resonates with me. Afraid to know. You know, sometimes we pretend not to know what we really want because then we're responsible. We actually, I think this is a huge one, really, if you think about it. We don't set a direction because as soon as we do, now we're responsible for taking a step in that direction. So as long as we don't have a direction, there's no responsibility for fulfilling that. And there's a certain amount of freedom. I'd say it's a childish freedom, you know, because you know, child generally acts on whim. But as we start to grow and evolve and we recognize, you know, we grow into adults, we grow into responsible beings, we need to recognize that it's in our best interest to place a marker. Then we can actually start to be responsible. And just like I was talking about the last one, as we start to step in the right direction, as we start to achieve what we're actually claiming responsibility for, it makes us more willing to accept more responsibility. Actually, responsibility becomes a fun thing. It becomes a marker for our growth and evolution, to say, wow, I'm actually taking responsibility for making something happen, and I'm seeing it through. I made it happen. I have the power, and let's make more happen now. So it's an upward spiral, if you can get that on. Best vision is nothing without experiencing it alive with all the senses. If you can combine the vision with emotions, the fact, try to hold back, try to hold back and get smaller. We have to see them as a reminder of the old self. Very important function, not to go back. Right, so yes, so the point there is to imbue your vision with emotion, with the senses, all that. What's the difference between visions from Mother and your higher spirit talking to you? Justin, that's a great question, and I'd say it really depends on where that information the Mother is talking to you is coming from. I've got a Facebook Live out there called Soul versus Ego. It's a beautiful one for answering this question, how you can start to get signs that the information that's coming to you is coming from your soul, coming from your higher self, or whether it's coming from your ego, your lower self, which usually is not in your best long-term interest. So I'll let you look that up, and that will help you in answering that. This is resonating with Kelly. Great. And Lynn's on board. Hi there. Welcome. Justin, what are we supposed to be? Wait, we are supposed to be responsible beings? Well, I would say yes. What does responsible mean? Response-able, able to respond. What does that really mean? I think I've got one Facebook Live out there, responding versus reacting. If it's not titled that, it's something like that. If we're not responsible, if we're not response-able, then we're reactive beings. What does react mean? React, to act again, right? What are we acting out again? Something that's happened to us in the past, you know, we now have a situation that's similar to something that happened in the past. And instead of responding, instead of taking the lay of the land and saying, here I am, I have the ability to respond because I'm responsible, we react. We act again. We bring the old action that we did, it could even been 10 or 20 years ago, into this new scenario. And we're not acknowledging the scenario as new. We're completely overlaying the past scenario on top of this. And so if you find yourselves in continuous patterns of the same behavior, attracting the same kind of people, you're likely reacting. And that's because then you haven't learned to be responsible. So, or response-able. So Justin, hopefully that tells you that yes, ideally for your best interest, you are evolving into being a responsible being. Deborah, thank you. Yes, responsibility, responsible. Yeah, everybody's starting to talk that way now. Reacting is in the past, response is in the moment of now. Beautiful. Nime. Sorry, I in the moment butcher a lot of names. Okay, so those are the 7 invisible blocks. Now, how do we map out our new year? And so one of the first things is to think about what is creation. Creation, and I've talked about this in many Facebook Lives in the past, boils down to love. The energy of creation, I'd say the energy of God, is ultimately love. So think about this. When you love something, you love to do something, love to be something, love to want something, you are activating that God nature in you. So what you first want to do is just make a list of what you love to do, what you love to have, who you love to be with. Love, love, love. Cultivate that love in relationship to your external environment, because this is the creation or the cultivation of spirit, of God, of your higher self in your external environment. So that's a great starting point, direction point to making your vision actually worth something. Got it. It's okay. I go by Star. All right, great, Star. It's a lot easier talking about names and how I'm not getting them right. All right, so love. Now, then there's 4 areas that you really want to do this for. One is health, right? So you might write this stuff down. Of course, this is on recording, so you can go back and listen to this. These are the points for making your vision. And you can do this by making a vision board, getting images and sticking them up. You can do this by writing this down and really making your thing. I do want to say, when Jennifer Hoodie did this, she was just talking about a 3-year vision, and that's a great amount of time to try to encapsulate a vision. I'm talking now really just about 1-year vision, our vision for 2020. And whether it's your 10-year vision, your 3-year vision, or your 1-year vision, these principles really remain the same. And so the first area is your health, your physical health. What do you love? How would you love to be physically? Your emotional health. How would you like to respond emotionally? And I think one of the things that the 2019 has brought me is really a new freedom of expression of my emotional states, and it's shown up that I've actually probably cried more in 2019 than I have in the last 40 years of my life. And I consider that a good thing, that I actually have that capacity to express that emotion and all of the range of emotions, where, as a guy, that says it all pretty much. Big boys don't cry. Somebody who grew up, really grew up in a military family, emotions were a weakness, not a asset. So through that, I learned not to express my emotions. And so it's taken a long time to get into that. And I'd say it's still a work in progress, but this year has been one where I've made leaps and bounds in that. Hasn't always been easy. As you can imagine, crying sometimes, it means you got things to cry about. Rachel's on. Hey there, Rachel. Good to see you. And Nicole, I'm with the idea of creating a love list. So there you go. That's the first thing you love, creating a love list. So now it should be easier to create. So your love list first in your health, physical health, emotional health, and ultimately spiritual health. What states in each of these categories of our dimensions of our being you really want to be in love with? You want a big buff body? Do you want, slender, loss of weight? Do you want to be curvy and voluptuous? Do you, emotionally, do you want to be in charge of your emotions? Do you want your emotions more to flow? You want to be able to express your emotions or move into more happiness and less depression? Spiritually, you want to feel connected. You want to cultivate a deeper relationship with your inner self. All this is what to put down for that dimension. The second area is your relationships, and this is so critical because relationships, as you may have, again, number of Facebook Lives I've done in the past revolve around relationship. The essence is the relationships are the vehicle, are the proving ground for our evolution. They are the place where our lessons are learned and our evolution takes place. So relationships are critical. So what kind of relationships will you really love? Do those people need to be in physical proximity to you? What kind of qualities do they need to have? What kind of qualities are you going to express to them? What difference does it make whether they're family relationships, friend relationships, romantic relationships, work relationships? Is there a difference? And if there is, understand that difference, write it down, what it is you want, right? Okay, Rachel, hey. Rebecca, I just spent 2 days in review of 2019. It was fantastic. Yeah, great. I was going to get into that too. Part of, probably should have said that first before getting into making your 2020. It was really to review 2019. We'll get into that in a moment then. Just another thing for Rythmia in 8 days. Excellent. You're getting more and more emotional. That's not uncommon, so I encourage you to feel those emotions, let them be free, even if they're a little scary, even if they're a little not the kind of emotions you ideally want to have, be with them, and you'll just go deeper as you get here. Still, I had so much to do for everyone around me that I finally realized that I'm burnt out. I have to connect with myself and figure out what I really want. Yeah, that's important. Love plus bliss equals universe, spirit, higher self, trade identity. Thanks, Star and Raisha, myself and my dog. Those are the relationships, right? Those are important relationships. Right. The third category, your time and financial freedom. What is the scenario that you really love around time and financial freedom? What is it that you're really desiring to create around those things? Do you want to make $1 million, but do you want to do it working 80 hours a week? Maybe you do. Maybe you love your work and you want to do that. But maybe you want to have enough time to cultivate some of these other relationships that are the second category here. So what is it around? How do you want to see your time structured? How do you want to see your financial pursuits structured? And what kind of financial goals are you really working for? And I know, there's been studies out there that a certain amount of more is better. It increases the quality of life, and at a certain point, more actually decreases the quality of life. It makes you have more worries, more concerns, more paranoia, whatever. So recognize how much is enough for you, how much is too much. Where is there diminishing returns? And maybe you're close to there, maybe you still could be on the upward swing of more and more and more. So what is it as far as time and financial freedom? Mayfair, emotion is energy in motion. I use that a lot. So let them flow. Exactly. It's the idea with emotions. You don't want to halt their energy. You want to let that energy flow. So the fourth area, and definitely not the least, is your mission. How do you see fulfillment of your mission? What do you, as far as your purpose here? And some of you are like, I don't know my purpose. Then come to Rythmia, right? Or again, start with something. Start with your best guess of what your purpose is. Or maybe your mission this year is to find your purpose. So whatever it is, again, this category, how do you want to see your mission being embodied, enacted, materialized here on this physical plane in this next year? Right? So there's four categories: your health, your relationships, your time and financial freedom, and ultimately the fulfillment of your mission. If you can really get a good understanding of what you love, what you'd love to see in all of these, that's going to give you a great start. Again, this is the energetic spearhead. It doesn't mean you have to know how this is all going to happen, right? That's not what we're not looking at how to make this happen. We're looking at what we ultimately want to have happen. We start that energy in motion, we start to pursue it, and the how starts to come. You know, if you're, again, driving down the highway and you know you're trying to get to New York and you're at a juncture that's saying, you know, go on I-25. This is in Denver, I know that. You're on I-70 going east. You hit the juncture that says I-25. Are you going to take that detour? No, because you know you're going on. You know you're heading to New York. So again, the choices wind up along the way, but your direction will be determined by the ideas that you've set in motion here today, or after today's talk, if you go do this. So far, about 25% have done it, 75% haven't. If you still haven't answered that poll, go ahead and do that. So then she offered a tool to get into the frequency of your vision. And I think this is great. Said, you look and you say, it's now December 31st, 2020. It's the end of the year. And I'm so happy and glad that and you make this recording. You record your voice saying it's December 31st, 2020. And I'm so glad that I accomplished, that I worked out every day and now I have a strong, buff body. I'm so glad that I spent time with my parents this year because their health has been failing and wanted to develop a deeper bond before they depart. I'm so glad that I focused on building my business so that it's now at a solvent level. I'm so glad I have time to spend with my nieces and nephews. So glad that my mission has been fulfilled, that now the world is a better place because of the things that I've done. Get as specific as you can based on those things that you wanted in your vision, and you're telling yourself this as if it's the end of the year, you're looking back and you're saying, I'm grateful, I'm happy, I'm glad, and feel this as you're recording it. Let that be no more than a 5-minute audio, and then play that back to yourself. Listen to it every morning. This is her suggestion, and I think it's a great one. So Deborah's saying, thank you for your time and wisdom. After returning home these last 2 weeks, the energetic flow, intentions just come naturally with clarity, power, grace, deep root. I'm still amazed at medicine's voice and presence, my dreams and visions and connection to creation beyond words. Beautiful. Rachel Goodwin also. Piper, excellent there. And this is what, I want to say. If you don't have clarity, if any of this seems like tough to you, tough to do on your own, you can always employ the help of somebody else, but this is what the Rythmia program is here for too, to get some of these blocks, these invisible blocks out of the way, and give you, a lot of people, like as Piper was saying, start to hear the voice of their inner guidance, start to get a new lease on life, a new perspective on what their mission and purpose is, and start to enact that. And that's really the value of this Rythmia program. It changes people's lives, 95% guaranteed. All right, so and of course, to get you started, somebody was saying earlier, do 2019 review. It's great to, if you haven't gone to my Facebook page, look on there. It says, tell me one thing you're proud of in 2019. But for yourself, do this. Do as many things as you're proud of. What I usually do, I take any notes that I've looked at, journals or whatever, from January, February, March, April, and I go through one by one. What happened in January? what are some of the highlights? What are the things that I can really value about January? Then I look at February, March, and by the end of it, you're like, wow, this was a pretty incredible year. There's a lot that got accomplished, a lot that got evolved, even if it was a struggling year. I say this year has kicked my ass more than any year on record that I can remember, but I've enjoyed it because I've allowed it. I've understood that a good ass kicking in the right context is exactly what I need to evolve myself and get myself out of some ruts that some of them I haven't even been aware of until now. So it's been amazing. Thank you for the message. Appreciate that, Star. Rebecca says, is there a guided meditation or background music you can recommend? I can't recommend any right offhand. Other than like breath work, do a breath work CD that will take you into the breath work state, and that's another way. I said the Rythmia program has breath work in it, but of course, being a breath work trainer, that's my main tool. I found just using our breath, getting into cyclical deep breathing, opens yourself up to your higher self, downloads of visions, downloads of clarity, all that kind of stuff can happen by using the breath. Justin saying, "In miss you, man. Wish I could share my current story with you." When do you get here, Justin? You said in about 8 days or whatever. My situation is changing, so I may be here a little longer than I initially thought. All right, so maybe you will get to share your current story with me. So Rythmia experience, breath work, and of course this whole little visioning thing, compliments of Jennifer Hoodie. Again, hats off to her for being here. I hope she doesn't mind me sharing it. It's the best way to learn something is to teach it right after you've learned it. So go out and do this and maybe get a friend involved and then explain to your friend exactly what you're doing so it ingrains more in you as well. So before I close, and let's see if we want to get into some music with the guitar over here. Say, what if you really took the time to do what we said, sit down, map out your vision of how 2020 is going to go, and just imagine, what happens with that much more clarity, how much more accomplishment, how much more your feelings of empowerment will be that you put a vision out there, you set out on your way, and you actually accomplish something. Now, it might not be everything, and I've set a lot of goals for 2019, and some manifested, some didn't, but I'll tell you this, a lot more manifested than if I hadn't put any goals in place. So just imagine that, and imagine how good it's going to feel when you know that you are in charge of creating and steering your own destiny. So with that, let's. Who wants to hear some music? Pardon, I sent time to do planning together. Excellent, Rebecca, Deborah, looking forward to being at Rythmia in 2020. Excellent. All right. People interested in a little music? I think I've probably played this song before. Let's see if there's anyone that I haven't. Good one because especially when we talk about songs about vision, when we talk about visioning, this song is pretty much the epitome of vision. It's essentially this whole vision process wrapped up in a song from one of the world's greatest musicians, no longer with us, but let's imagine. Imagine there's snow the sky. Imagine all the people living for today. You imagine there's no countries. Isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer. I'm not the only one. You're too. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine. That's not a vision song. I don't know what it is. Let's make that real in 2020, shall we? So let's see. Y'all do want to hear me real quick? The breath work that you led us through the first transformation journey in the heavy dimensions. Let's see, this is personal Piper's experience. Let's just say, saying Rythmia is awesome. Yes, music, please. Thank you very much. Isn't this song taking you back to ceremony? Yeah, yes, my favorite. Much gratitude. Thank you, Tammy, Petra. Thank you. Piper, about to cry. Let us cry, hoping that you are crying those tears and letting them flow. One of the greatest blessings in my life in this past year. Many blessings, everyone. Shoot for the stars in year 2020. Thanks for that, Deborah. Piper, lots of hearts. Betty, may you have the best the universe has to offer. Bless and illuminate everyone's steps in 2020. Love, Piper, God bless you. Mel, so much love. Deborah, see it, be it, imagine. That was lovely. Jeez, you guys are, oh, there we are at the end of it. That takes me back to our group, connected so much to this song. It was meant to be that you played this. Thanks, Kelly. And Katina, thank you. Stella, thank you all. It's been a great one. First Facebook Live of 2020 vision. Get yours going. Let's reconvene when you get here to Rythmia. Those 75% who haven't come yet, come say hi to me and tell me what your vision is. Those 25% who did come on back and let me know what great things you're up to. I will continue to expound upon what I'm up to, and hopefully by the end of the year, we are all fully enlightened. All right, Aaron, nice to hear your song in the new year. Thank you. Deborah, hope you're there when I arrive. Yeah. When are you arriving, Deborah? Thank you. Many blessings, Michelle. To all of you, it's right at the top of the hour. Perfect timing. R. Christian Minson here signing off, saying namaste. Until next time, go out there and live that vision. Take care.